Unreal Engine 5.6 Metahumans to Blender is finally here, all thanks to the amazing team over at Polyhammer. You all were asking about it in my Metahuman to Maya video. I saw you in the comments. I'm going to show you how to set up a character so it's ready to animate in no time. These are tools that you are going to need to purchase, but man oh man is the process so easy. Let me show you. Let's start out by creating a Metahuman and setting up the files that we need to import it into Blender. So let's just create a Metahuman character and let's call this Blender test. So in here I just have my default Metahuman. But let's go over to the presets. Let's choose one of the presets here. Let's go with Bruce. So here's our Bruce character, and we are going to download the texture source. I'm just going to download the 2K ones for now, but you could download whichever resolution works for you. And we need to assemble it, but the character needs to be rigged. So let's create a full rig. Forgot to turn my light on. There we go. So our character is all rigged, and now we can go over to the assemble. And there's a couple different options that we could do for assembly. There's UE Cine Complete, that's going to be the highest quality, and that's going to bring it into Unreal Engine, so it is ready with a blueprint and a control rig to animate in Unreal. There's UE Optimized and UEFN Export. Those are both Unreal exports as well. And UE Optimized is just a little lighter, and UEFN is for the Fortnite editor. But the one that we want is DCC. The DCC export is going to export a DNA file, as well as all the textures and everything that we need to bring into Blender. You would also do this process if you were bringing it into Maya, which you could check out in this video here. So we're just going to select an output folder, and I'm going to save it right here, and I'll just say Blender test. So you can export a zip file if you need to transfer this over somewhere. We don't need to check that, but we're going to bake the makeup. That way it is all just included in the one texture file. And we are going to hit assemble. So that's all done exporting. We can hit save and get into Blender. If you're not a Deli sub, what are you doing? And please hit that notification bell down below so you can be the first to know when new animation workflow videos for Unreal, Blender, Maya are released. Now the main thing that we are going to be using to bring our Metahuman into Blender is a tool by Polyhammer. Polyhammer created this Metahuman DNA add-on that looks at the DNA that we just exported and basically sets it all up for us. It also allows us to adjust blend shapes in the Metahuman. If you didn't want to animate it in Blender, but you wanted to use Blender to fix some shapes because they might look a little weird or you want to do something special, well, we can adjust it in Blender and then bring it back over to Unreal. All the code is actually open source, but the thing that you need to buy is the build tool workflow. So they can't actually sell this add-on with all of the dependencies that Unreal needs. If they were to compile that, it would go against some terms of agreement. The way that they go about it is we're allowed to basically build this version. The build tool workflow will get you access to a couple things on GitHub, and then you're able to compile the Unreal dependencies with the version that you need. I went through the process. It is insanely easy. They have videos on their YouTube that go over this process, so I highly recommend checking those out if you are going to be going forward with this. Now I've already installed it into Blender, so let's open up Blender, and I'm just going to show you how easy this thing is to use. So I can just go over to the side here, and I'm going to scroll down, and I have the Metahuman DNA, and it says missing data, create import DNA data. Well, there's no actual import option here. All we're going to do, I'm going to navigate to the folder that I exported everything out to, which was this Blender test. And there's a body DNA and a head DNA. I'm just going to click and drag the head DNA into the viewport. And that brings up these import options. So we could scroll down and there's extras and we can include the body. And that is all that we need to do. We don't need to bring in LODs or anything. It's just include body and we can hit import. And voila, immediately we have a Metahuman ready to go. We can grab this and the faceboard is already connected. Everything is set for us to start animating, essentially. We don't have a control rig on the body. I'll walk through that shortly. But the face rig is all set up, and I mean, it works great. It works very smooth. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't bring in any of the groom data or the clothing. Even with Metahuman to Maya, it doesn't bring any of that in. So I'm not sure how to get that over, or if it's even possible to get that over. It might be that the groom system and the clothing are just more proprietary to Unreal. So it's harder for them to get it into Blender or Maya. But say we need to adjust a blend shape. We have a bunch of things here, rig, logic, but we also have shape keys, and no shape keys are in here, and shape keys are essentially blend shapes. but we can import all the shape keys. So let's import it. So that's done importing, and it doesn't look like there's anything here. The reason why is it's actually only going to show what's activated. So if I select the control board and I go to pose mode, let's look at the jaw. This is the easiest example right now. I can move this down and you can see that it's operating jaw open, and even to what level, whether it's at 1 or not. And if I move to the left, well, you see now there's jaw left and there's J left, J open core, which is probably the corner of the mouth. So it's pretty cool. It's showing us what is actually activated. So we can undo, and let's just look at 1 for now. And that's the jaw open. And how can we sculpt this? Well, there's a little like sculpting tool. And if we hit this, now we are actually adjusting this blend shape. So it brings us in the sculpt mode. And let's just go something, let's look, we can go to grab. And I can just start to pull some points out, and this is going to be very extreme. I wouldn't do this on an actual character, but this is just to show that it's actually working. So let's say that's all. Well, all we have to do is just kind of get out of it. We can go back to object mode. We can actually go to pose mode. And now if we move, you see it's normal in the beginning, and now it kind of pushes out as we move. Pretty cool. Now, before we get into putting a control rig on the body so you can animate it in Blender, let's say you're not looking to do that and you just want to adjust some blend shapes and then get it back over. But let me show you how to do that. It's really fairly easy. So I'm gonna just collapse some of these. And on the bottom of the Metahuman DNA add-on, there is output. So we have to set an output folder. So let's set an output folder here. We'll go back to that folder and we'll just say DNA adjust. So we'll set that folder, and we can select a component, which is our head. We didn't do anything to the body, but you could do things to the body if you needed. And if you needed to choose that, we could just do the drop down, and body is here and head is here. And we're just gonna select head, and we're gonna export only the component. And now that that's done, let's take a look. We have DNA adjust. Now we have a head DNA file. And if we go back into Unreal, we can import this DNA file into our Metahuman Creator. So we're back in Unreal. I go to my Metahuman character. Let's open it up. And for this to work, we have to actually remove the rig that we'd previously set up. So let's hit remove rig up top. We can go over to head, and we're gonna go to conform. If you've seen some of my other Metahuman videos, you know conform I usually do from template, and that's from a mesh that matches the vertex order and topology. Well, we can import from DNA, and we just have to navigate to that DNA file. So let's navigate to that folder, Blender test, and we did the DNA adjust, and we can just double click head DNA. And we're gonna import the whole rig because that is actually gonna create a fully rigged character. So let's hit import. And now that that's done, let's take a look. So now if we look at this ROM face, if I hit play, you'll notice when the jaw goes, there's that nasty jaw. And the groom follows it all. So pretty awesome. We can make some of these adjustments for better face shapes, better blend shapes. Really pretty awesome. So again, you can see right there. Now I know some of you are not looking to stay in Unreal. You want to use this Metahuman in Blender. So you already have a face rig with the control board rig, but now you need a body rig to move the whole entire body. I wanted to try and replicate the same kind of process that I did for Maya, where I used Advanced Skeleton. In this case, I used Auto Rig Pro. So Auto Rig Pro is an auto rigger, it's in the name, and it's pretty awesome. There's a lot of great features. There is an add-on to Auto Rig Pro that you need to get called Quick Rig. And Quick Rig has templates for skeletons that already exist, like Mixamo, Advanced Skeleton actually, and Metahuman, and the UE5 mannequin. So unfortunately, you do need to buy both of these to get it to work. I bought the full Auto Rig Pro and then the add-on. There's a light version that's a little cheaper for the base auto rig. It might be fine, and you might be able to just get the add-on, and that's fine, but I got the full one. So if I go down here, right underneath it, it's called ARP, which is Auto Rig Pro. If you don't have the Quick Rig add-on, you will not see Auto Rig Pro Quick Rig. It'll just be all of this. Now to use this and to get this ready to animate, if you go to this little drop down, there's import and export. If you go to this little drop down, these are all the presets that they already have. So they have character creator, AccuRig, Van Skeleton, Daz, a whole big mix of them. If I select UE Metahuman right now, I'll do import preset, clear current limbs. You see, I get a notice that says bone names stored in this preset don't match the bones of the skeleton. Try to import again with approximate names matching fuzzy match. Warning, prone to error. I thought this just didn't work properly. I thought, okay, we'll have to set this up differently somehow. But I actually found that because we're in pose mode for the face rig, it's giving us that issue. So if you don't know Metahumans, there's a body rig that has a full skeleton just for the body, not the face. And then there is a separate skeletal mesh for the face that is a lot more complex, and it's like parented to the head joint of the body. That way it moves around. So when we bring in the Metahuman, it's actually bringing in both. There's body rig and there's head rig down here. And because we're looking at the control board, it's looking at the head. So how do we get out of that to actually attach this control rig? So right now we're in pose mode. We need to get out of pose mode into object mode. So if we go to Blender Test Body Rig and we need to have this visible, we can select it and we can hit pose mode. And now we're in pose mode for the body. So now we can import this again, UE5 Metahuman. We can hit OK. We don't get any error. This is all set, and we can go hit Quick Rig. Now when we hit Quick Rig, there are a couple different options. This convert is going to convert it to the auto rig skeletal hierarchy. We don't want to do that because if you wanted to animate in Blender and then send it back to Unreal, you need to have the same skeleton hierarchy. So we want to preserve. This is essentially going to just attach the control rig on the existing skeleton already. So there's no animation, so we don't want any animation on there. Arms, FK, legs, IK. That's fine. They're going to both be in a switch where you can have both. And honestly, I don't really touch anything else. So we're just going to hit OK. And just like that, we have a control rig ready to animate. So if we take a look, again, the arms right now are in FK. But this just all moves properly. It really is just pretty great. And if you wanted to change the arms to IK or even the legs to FK, how do we do that? It took me a minute, and maybe it's just because I'm still a Blender noob. But if we go to Tool, there's an Auto IK pose option. But if we go down the rig main properties here, we could select a control for the arm that we want to switch. And there's an FK IK switch here. We could just go to 0, and now we were IK. It's this little box here. And now we can animate it however we need, and vice versa for the feet. There's our clav. And what's great about this, we can get out of pose mode, we can select this, go into pose mode. Now we're in the face animation, and we can just set all of this up properly. We can just animate to our heart's content. And there's our crazy blend shape. And that's how to get a Metahuman into Blender, either for adjusting blend shapes and just tweaking a few things to get it back into Unreal, or for having a whole entire project in Blender with Metahuman. Now, you'll have to do a new groom and clothing in Blender if that's the case, but it's here and a lot of it is already solved. So a huge shout out to Polyhammer and AutoRig Pro. Their tools made this possible. And I'm just excited for all the opportunities for all you Blender animators out there. You got Metahumans in here now with a control rig. It's so easy.